Like a wallet chain for your brain, this is the Normal Isn't Necessary podcast, brought to you in part by the Gumball Head Sobriety Society.
Another Tuesday above dirt, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the 18th of February, 2025. Yesterday's podcast was a nod to the 4 new tires on a car and how that four new tires can change your life. I'm going to continue on with this a little bit with something else that I've recently done aside from putting new tires on the car, changing the oil. Something I did not add on the podcast yesterday was the efficiency that increased monumentally as a result of changing those tires and changing the oil, the mileage. And because I took care of my car, I'm getting more mileage out of the car. If you're confused as to what I'm talking about, jump in tomorrow or later on this afternoon or right now if you really want to and come back to this one and listen to the podcast about how 4 new tires can change your life. So Sunday afternoon into the evening and yesterday morning before my day started, I spent some time working on removing some of that interference in my life, and I have a ton of apps downloaded on my phone. Most of us have a lot of apps downloaded to our phone. Apps to help our productivity, apps to help our focus, apps to help our communication and our social ability, apps to help us, some of us with our jobs, email, text messaging. I don't even use the standard text app. I use a third-party app to do my texting. Just a lot of things that we have on our phone that actually influence us and can create issue. And carrying on with the technology thing, I want to bring to the attention of some people here of how our phones can affect us, mind, body, and soul, how they can affect our productivity, how they can affect our brains, how they can affect our dopamine, serotonin, and testosterone levels, not to mention estrogen levels. They affect our hormones, and whether you realize it or not, they do. And if you want to fight me on this one, go ahead. I will prove you wrong and shut you down, and it's not ego, it's science. Let me explain. I deleted Reddit off my phone. I found myself doing a lot of Redditing, looking through Reddit and such, and started to do my own analytics on the apps that I had downloaded on my phone. And one of those things is, if you know what SMS phishing is, then you'll know what I'm talking about here. If you don't know what SMS phishing is, or SM phishing with a capital S in the end, you'll start to understand that the more you use certain apps, the more that you get phone calls, very similar to the microphone privacy that you have on your phone, to where you can, where Amazon can listen to what we're talking about, where DoorDash and Instacart can hear what you're talking about. Because if you think about it, sometimes when we talk about a couple of products or whatever, we jump on Amazon. What are the first, brought up products? Or on Facebook. Facebook's the worst. It'll bring up products that you've been looking at, even though you haven't, looked at them on your phone. Just conversationally, your microphone picks up those things, and it kind of puts it into the shopping concept, throws it into those apps, and those apps suggest those things based on what you say or locations. So people don't realize that that's happening on their phone sometimes, and yep, it does happen. It's there, it's prevalent, it's evident, it's obvious, and it's there. So I deleted Reddit because I was just kind of realizing how much of my time was eaten up by Reddit, how much of my time was eaten up by other apps. I downloaded the Snapchat on my phone, and since deleted the Snapchat. I only downloaded it because everybody's like, oh, hey, you should have Snapchat, let's snap, blah, blah, blah. And I realized that the sole concept of Snapchat does not fit my bill. I don't like the messages. If I want to text message you, I'll use a text or an email. I don't like the fact that it disappears shortly afterwards. I know that you can change that setting, but I don't want to go in and do a bunch of that stuff. I already mess around with the privacy settings on all my other apps. I didn't want to learn another new one. Kind of like the Podbean. That's why we are podcasting on Podbean, but we're putting it on our Facebook page. We're putting it on our website, so people don't have to download a new app just in order to, be able to listen to the mental vomit that spews from my mouth hole. But I got rid of Reddit, and ironically enough, my 31-second voicemails from the reward center that calls on a regular basis disappeared. And so I think I finally cured that problem. I thought it was a couple other apps, but no, now I think that I know that it was the Reddit app. In addition to that, I removed Snapchat. I removed a lot of apps off my phone. I think I removed a total of 9 apps off my phone, and I just realized that they were hindering my productivity. I removed a couple of games. I know those games were doing a little bit of phishing. Not anything major, but, if we don't turn our privacy settings to, do not allow, then those settings on those apps can really, really affect your phone. They can affect your productivity. Notifications do the same thing. If you've got notifications turned on for your different apps, your phone's ding-dong, bing-bonging all day long, and my goodness, how much can that affect you? I wear my headphones while I'm at work, and I listen to music throughout the day, and I noticed a lot of times I was checking my phone. I wear a watch, and that watch was going crazy all day long, so I quit doing it. I got rid of a lot of the junk, and I got rid of a lot of vibration. I got rid of a lot of the tones in my ears. Now, I did notice during a period of about a week, being mindful of the things that I do and the stuff that I was working on with my phone, was that I was doom scrolling a lot. I would get home from work, I would sit down on the couch, I would spend time with the kids, but that time with the kids was sitting there scrolling through my phone while the kids just occupied my space, and it sucked. It really sucked. I'm looking forward to the weather turning so that we can go back outside when I get home from work, and we can go explore a new neighborhood, go explore a new town. We don't have to pile into the car. We can go for a walk. We can go out into the backyard. We can do this and that and the other thing, and not have to worry so much about, what's surrounding us, and just worry about, what's in front of us and what's all the way around us. Kind of like the 4 new tires in the bumper of your car. The bumper of your car sees things differently than you do. The 4 tires that kiss the road see things differently than you do, and so does the rear bumper of your car sees things in a different view than you do. And I learned that by using the backup camera in my vehicle. Guess what? Those can be hacked too, guys, just so you know. That type of stuff can happen just by having the right equipment in order to do it. So it's not a safe world out there. Technology is scary. Technology is addictive. Technology is dangerous. And we've become so comfortable with our technology that we don't realize that those dangers are out there. When I got out of my car from work yesterday, I thought to myself, as I get older, I worry about the older people, the people that are older than me, seeing some of my older friends, and acquaintances in their 60s and 70s get their Facebook page hacked. Oh, I got a new page, check this out, and it's sickening. It's sickening to know that people out there are doing this type of stuff, that people are out there doing these things that, take over our identities, and take over our minds, take over our concepts, and take over our lives. For what benefit? Well, and it's just in hopes to get money. And a lot of these people are heartless. And that's where the karma and Jesus came in the other day. Karma's going to get those people eventually. But how is that going to make you feel as a person to know that somebody got affected by karma as a result of their bad habits or their bad behaviors or their bad intentions? I don't think that it matters as much to us because we want to see negative done to those people that have done negative to us. We don't want to see that happen because we're good people, because we have good intentions. We have, we want positive things in this world, and a lot of times there are people out there that don't give a shit. They don't care what happens to you. They don't care what happens to your credit as long as they benefit from it. And a lot of times these are in different countries and in different areas where they just don't care. It's not their life. It doesn't affect them. They don't give a shit because it doesn't have a effect on their life to the extent of where it affects them overall. And watching some of those videos on YouTube of the guy that scams scammers, he's remarkable. He takes those scammers and tells people, hey, I'm going to empty your bank account if you don't give people their money back. But that's only one guy doing the work of other people. That's what they call an ethical hacker. Those are the people that return the goods to the people that are entitled to those, taking them away from the bad guys. But there's only a few out there, and if you want that stuff to happen for you, usually you have to pay. It's not always done out of the kindness of someone's heart because, well, realistically, those are expensive tasks, and those are expensive, career paths, because it does involve getting your identity back. It does involve getting your, credit back. It does involve this and that and the other thing. So a lot of things out there that affect that, and we are affected by the emails that they send with links in there. We unknowingly click the link, and I get it on a regular basis too at work. My company that I work for sends us phishing scams tests in our emails, and I can't figure it out. I will forward the phishing information to our IT department, and a lot of times, the IT department will send me an email, a follow-up email, you opened up a phishing scam. Well, it's all work related, and I'm sure that it happens a lot, but I don't understand why they can persistently do it, but I also understand why they persistently do it. They want to make sure that we're not opening dumb shit on our company email. The only emails I ever get anyways from work are follow-ups on HR and payroll and job postings and stuff like that. So no real major personal information exposed there, but it doesn't matter. I've got a few email addresses that have been exploited in the past, and that's why we do what we do. If you do want to be on our show, if you're an IT, technical support person or customer service or anything along those lines, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to have a chat with you regarding phishing and regarding that type of stuff. The Normal Isn't Necessary Podcast at gmail.com. Normal Isn't Necessary Podcast at gmail.com. There's no the in there. It's just Normal Isn't Necessary Podcast at gmail.com. You can get in touch with us. Send us an email. We'll get you on our show as a guest. Last week's guest was unable to fulfill their obligation, so we are looking for someone new this week. Saturday night, we'll be recording a podcast with our friend, the owner of Stogie Tones, and his name is Ken. And we'll have him on our show. It'll be posting Monday morning, 8 a.m. So we'll be listening to Ken talk about his Stogie Tone guitars and letting him kind of produce his verbal spew on all of his stuff. So I hope everybody's having a great day and a good week. I, in fact, woke up this morning in a great mood, woke up with a very positive attitude, woke up with a good mindset. And I've had, last week I had a rough week. You guys could tell listening to the podcasts. You could just tell there was something off. This morning I woke up just being thankful for everything that I do have. My job, my career, my family, most of my bills paid, 4 new tires. You might be able to hear a little bit of the road noise as my tires break in, but it's all right. It's better than being able to hear all of that background sound. I have noticed a substantiated difference in the sound of the road since I got the new tires. Sounds like everything's firing on all cylinders. We're doing well. Life is good. Guys, turn the tech off. Turn it down. Turn it off. Limit your time. Put those things into effect that tell you, hey, you've been on for this long. Maybe you should take a break. TikTok does a great job of that. It tells you after 60 minutes, after 90 minutes, and after 2 hours. It says, hey, you should probably take a break. You've been on this a while. And it just gives you a reminder of, hey, you know what? You got other things that you need to focus on. Hey, get back to work. You've been on your lunch break for an hour and a half, or whatever. Those things do affect our brain. It does affect our serotonin levels. And what happens is when we find something that we are joyful in watching, or joyful in listening to, or joyful of paying attention to, it dumps serotonin into our bodies, which gives us that satisfactory level of consciousness to where we feel good about what we're doing. We feel great about what we're thinking about. We feel, connected to whatever we're hearing. And when we feel that connection, it increases the release of serotonin and dopamine in our body, and it gives us that feel-good chemical. And it may not be in a large dose. It may be in a moderate dose. And this is where computer hacking, this is where, graphic design, art, all of those things come into play, because those levels of chemicals that drop into our body are those that make us feel good, which makes us crave furthering the information that we're seeing or the feeling that we're feeling. It makes us want more and more and more. And as we all know, craving causes addiction. Addiction is caused by craving. And the more we crave, the more we want. And craving is, once we start to understand that craving is there, that addiction is there, we start to understand the process of change. And that's the experience portion of our lives. And as we start to work towards those goals to eliminate that craving in our body and in our mind and our body and our soul, we start to make a change in our life. We need to return back to where things were before technology was so substantiated in our life. We need to return back to the roots of life by getting outside, touching grass, seeing the sunshine, getting that vitamin D, getting those good feel-good chemicals into our body, and not utilizing artificial satisfaction such as technology. And I speak of that highly of pornography, gambling. That's instant gratification. Masturbation creates a orgasmic outcome. We know that that's going to be there. We know what it's going to feel like. That's what we want. It's what we desire. That's why we do what we do. That's why we have sex. That's why we look at pornography. That's why we, those levels of chemicals dump into our body make us feel good. We know they're going to make us feel good. And a lot of times people get addicted to the fact that when they're having a rough, difficult time, they seek out that sex, or they seek out that purchasing, that shopping spree, or they seek out that, self-harm, cutting, alcohol, drugs, all of those things, because we don't know how to make ourselves feel good in a natural way. We know how to make ourselves feel good in a artificial way, and we rely on those things that we know are going to make us feel good, which is where addiction can cause a relapse. A lot of people, I'm going to use self-harm for example. Some people cut themselves, and it releases those chemicals in their body, and as those chemicals release in their body, it provides a satisfaction for them that is unfounded, and they're not exactly sure why it feels good, because pain is temporary, but knowing that you can cut a little bit and you'll be fine. Over time, those things really start to hinder your growth. And when we're trying to stop doing those negative behaviors, we forget that those negative behaviors have become part of our lives. So we need to start focusing on that so that we can bring in that death process, that the disease process is imperative to death so that we can be reborn and that we can regrow. And if we don't start that process from our experience, we'll never get to the point where we can start all over again with something better. When we overcome something adverse in our lives, such as addiction, such as craving, such as removing some of those apps from our phones so that we can be better at what we do, we don't realize that the progress begins there. And it's going to be a lifelong process for all of us, regardless of your addiction, regardless if it's a conscious or a subconscious or a superconscious addiction. Those things are always going to be there, and there's nothing that we can do about it except for observe it, explore it, understand it, and then start to get rid of it. Guys, thanks for tuning in today. I hope this message hits everybody well. And until our paths cross, stay strong, stay focused, stay sober. Much love. We'll see you guys soon.